What movie show did you dislike so much that you turned it off without finishing it? 22. My husband and I are huge fans of Stephen King's The Dark Tower books series, and he's even got a tattoo of a symbol from the books. However, the movie adaptation took so many liberties with the story that it barely resembled the source material. It ended up being hard to follow, boring, and left us extremely disappointed. While we're okay with directors making some changes for adaptation purposes, the only similarities we could find were a blonde kid with a tough home life and a guy who used guns. Breaking Bad, why are we glorifying meth? And I don't care how badly any of the characters end up, it's on TV. It's glorifying it. The Path not only was the plot a hot mess, there's misogyny and torture porn. Don't really need to see a guy yelling and screaming at his ex-wife and grabbing her and throwing her down on a picnic bench and that's supposed to be the main character? And then they work things out in the next scene? I don't think so. The Bad Batch, a gross movie about cannibalism, Human Centipede, Saw, Final Destination, The Blob. I love gory stuff, don't get me wrong, I just watched those movies a little too young and it's stuck ever since. I actively avoid pool drains as well. I don't need my insides sucked out my ass. I know the drains aren't that powerful, but I ain't taking my chances. Netflix show, Easy. S1E4 control ya. Tension brews between a couple who are trying to conceive when the wife's hard partying friend comes to town and camps out on their couch. You can probably guess what happens. Hits way too close to home in my specific anxieties. Went 0 to 100 real quick for me. Asteroid City. I stopped when the guy started giving the speech and said Chapter 1. It felt like watching Wes Anderson jerk off to himself and at that point realized this was a movie for his fans, maybe. But it was far too self-indulgent, just far too much. Grand Budapest Hotel remains his best work. The movie based on the Stephen King book, Gerald's Game. More so it gave me anxiety watching it, just really uncomfortable. I was around halfway through and I turned it off. I googled the ending and I'm glad I didn't watch it. I actually have the book but I've never read it, probably won't either. Soul Eater, Bleach, Naruto Shippuden, and a ton of others. Also plenty of movies I never got through, though I can't for the life of me remember the names of any of them due to them being so bad. And a fair amount of TV shows over the years that just sort of wore out their welcome. Wheel of Time is garbage. I get it, I'm a book reader and biased. But that show is shit, and Rafe Judkins is a dreadful showrunner. He's now apparently also helming the God of War adaptation. So really excited to see how the talentless hack fucks that up as well. Full circle. I was watching the first episode this evening. I hit a point where I was bored, but I wanted to finish at least the first episode. I paused it to see the time, and it still had 30 minutes left. I turned it off. Couldn't do it. Avatar, The Last Airbender movie. I legit stood up out the theater and walked out. Hang Earthbenders don't be slaves anymore. Earthbenders. And they just fucking did it. What the fuck, I'm getting mad again. Afterlife. I was so ass hurt about the story arc with Julian that I just turned it off. If there was any resolution whatsoever it would have been fine, but no. Instead it was just brushed off completely. I tried to watch Birdcage. It had Michael Keaton. Got all kinds of awards and shit. I don't understand. It fucking sucked. I still like Michael Keaton though. I hope like how Beetlejuice 2 don't suck. The only movie I've walked out on was Happy Feet. It's footloose with an ham-fisted environmental message, and even the description doesn't do justice to how much I wasn't a fan. Succession. I watched the first season and barely made through it. It had some interesting points but it was just boring. I get why people like it. I just couldn't get into it. I know it's beloved by many, but Life of Brian. I got to the scene that's just like 8 straight minutes of the joke being that someone has a speech impediment and couldn't do it. Red Oaks. The first season perfectly captures a moment in time, is compelling, and is downright funny. The second season just lost the thread. Bailed after a few episodes. American Sniper because of its historical inaccuracies, The Patriot because of its historical inaccuracies, and Enemy at the Gates because of its historical inaccuracies. Gotham. After a season or so, I accepted that I didn't care about any of the characters. Same with Mad Men, though I only lasted a few episodes. Friends, the US version of The Office, any reality TV, most recent remake of A Star is Born, the Twilight vampire movies, anything Harry Potter. Step Brothers was fucking awful, but you don't mess with the Zohan was so bad, I was willing to endure physical pain to turn it off. The third Mommy movie, right after the historical intro, when they butchered Evelyn's character and turned her from badass to prissy. The Flash. One Ezra Miller was already obnoxious, but a second one pretending to be Ted from Bill and Ted was fucking eye-gouging. The Wire. I tried to sit through the pilot 3 times and all I remember seeing was a bunch of tired cops sitting around swearing. Couldn't turn it off as I saw it in the theater, but I came so close to walking out of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Wife and I got a little uncomfortable during the movie Licorice Pizza. The age gap mixed with the power dynamic was weird. The One Piece live action. That was painful to try and sit through. Never tried watching the anime or read the manga. New BSG. The miniseries was so freaking good, but the show just nosedived and got so awful that I quit around S2. The most recent Elvis biopic. I felt like I was watching someone else's fever dream, but in the worst way. Frowning face. Fast and Furious 9. It was so stupid from the start that I couldn't suspend disbelief even in that universe. Black Mirror. I tried. Really I did. Maybe I wasn't in the right state of mind. I may try it again one day. Secret Invasion. Couldn't make it through episode 2. Tried a few times, just was so predictable and boring. Nancy Drew and Charmed. Just pick your own names and stop ruining original shows with your garbage. The Devil All the Time. The acting was great but the plot was just bad things happening to people. Walked out of the shitty Nupu movie. I knew it was gonna be bad but good lord it was too much. Laguna Beach. Hands down, worst idea and worst show ever. Makes me want to jump off the planet. The new Ant-Man movie. Tried several times to watch it but always found myself wandering off. Black Butterflies on Netflix. It's only 6 episodes, and it cashed out on the 3rd. I walked out of The Ice Pirates, Bewitched, and There's Something About Mary. I waited till The Last Jedi was on Disney, it was so bad I walked out of Own House. Game of Thrones. Wheel of Time. Both were pretty shitty adaptations of the books. Pretty Little Liars. It was a wild ride from the start, but too much is too much. Crimes of the Future. Extremely weird. Watching surgery for entertainment? Nope. Grey's Anatomy. Maybe 10 minutes into the first episode. Never watched it again. Wednesday. As a 90s kid I was excited to watch it but Jenna ruined it for me. Westworld. First season cool, maybe the second, but after that no thank you. Terrifier. I wouldn't call myself sensitive but it was actually too much. The New Little Mermaid. The moment I heard Scuttle's voice, I was done. James Cameron's Avatar. Pacing is too slow and the story boring as hell. Dead. I thought it would be sarcastic and funny, it was so boring. Russian Doll. Just found the main character really annoying. The Idol. I wasn't going to subject myself to that crap. The Big Bang Theory. Game of Thrones. 50 Shades of Grey. Club Dread. How do you go from Super Troopers to that? Tropic Thunder. I walked out and got my money back.